Hey, it's Sam from Engine 7 Media. Today we're doing a kind of a special video for all of us here at Station 7, Johnson City Fire Department. And it's concerning an employee that used to work here, named Wayne Buckles. So actually on March 18th of last year, we lost Wayne unexpectedly. I don't even know if they know exactly what happened, but and we're going to just get some guys together. To my right is Lieutenant Nathan Carrier that actually got to work with Wayne, and then this is District Chief Pete Sanders that actually got to work with Wayne a bunch in his early years that he worked here for the department. So what we want to cover is kind of talk about Wayne, about things people may not know about Wayne, because trust me, there was a lot of stuff the people that didn't work with him that really don't know about him, and it was an interesting character to work here. I'll start, I guess, the story off. I was working on the 17th of March. Who was the driver down here at Station 7. And we were prepared, because the crazy thing is Wayne had a perfect parking space that he picked out here. And earlier that day, we had decided to put our cars out here to block his perfect parking space, just because it was just fun, because Wayne loved to be offended. He loved to be aggravated when people would pick at him. And I think all the other guys will agree when I say that. So we'd set that up, and we were really giggling because we thought we really got him this time, and he goes, and we go to about 11 o'clock that night. One of the guys come in and got me and said that he passed away. And I'd like to tell you that I'm over it, but I still think about Wayne a lot. And immediately, when that happened, I called one of the district chiefs and I said, I'll stay over and work with Carrier and whoever else comes in. I didn't know who would come in the next day with him, just because it was an Engine 7. It was an Engine 7 issue. I mean, he was one of us at this station, because we all kind of get a lot closer when you work around each other, when you swap out with each other, when you get to know one another. And we kind of internalized that, if you will, and kind of made it an Engine 7 thing. So I stayed over the next day, and the first person that I saw on the oncoming shift was this Pete Sanders. He actually was on. You were a lieutenant that day, I believe, weren't you? Yeah. You can kind of tell what he.
Well, I mean, I'll never forget, where I was, what I was doing, and I think District Chief Oliver, he called me and had told me, and I didn't believe it. What kind of jokes he pulling out, and it stopped me in my tracks, because I've known Wayne for years, for almost 20 years, and he took care of himself. He was physically fit. He kicked me in the gut. It did. I thought, there's no way. There's no way this is possible. This is a dream or something. And no, it definitely wasn't. I might have been friends with his family, Leanne, his sister Leanne, his brother-in-law Darren worked here for 20 years or so.
Probably, yeah.
20 some odd years. So that was, my first call was to Darren and say, hey, what is this true? And he confirmed it, and that was tough. That was tough, because I'd just, I don't know, not a few shifts before I'd come in and work for Nate, so he can go, watch his daughter and coach his daughter in softball. And Wayne and I had talked pretty extensively that whole evening, and just catching up, because I hadn't seen him. I don't know. I hadn't worked with him probably in a couple of years, and just I'd seen him in different places, and we'd talk. But it seemed like he talked my ear off that night, and it was fun, because I really liked it. when Wayne first came here, there were a lot of people that didn't like him because he was a legacy. His dad was fire chief here, and he carried probably some animosities from people about his dad, and people who had didn't like his dad or had problem with his dad. It kind of carried over to him, and it wasn't fair because Wayne was proud to be a Buckles, and he was proud of what his dad did here and what his accomplishments. But Wayne was Wayne. Wayne was he was character, and like I say, a lot of people didn't like Wayne, but I liked him immediately. He would love to fire things at you, and the more you fired back at him, the more it seemed like the more that you became friends faster, and it was just But like I say, that evening that was hard. That was hard because that was just something that was an experience that I've only felt a few other times in my life, and it was sad because I lost a friend. A brother, and I'll never forget that as long as I live.
I like the Wayne I knew when I first got on around 2004, 2005. I kind of followed Wayne throughout my career before we had officers on all the engines and then things like that. And he was kind of the senior firefighter when I was the firefighter. So we was at 5 together and things like that. And I got to know him, and I went in there one shift. It was probably my second shift, Station 5, and I seen a guy by the name of Andy Caldwell with the recliner leaned back, like he's looking up at the ceiling, and they got a good big glass window right there. And he says, "Wayne, come in here, Wayne, come in here." Wayne goes, "Why?" He goes, "Come in here, we're gonna be astronauts." He goes, "Hey, new guy." I was the new guy. He said, "Count us down." I said, "Count you down from what?" And he goes, "You're mission control, me and Wayne's going to space." Without missing a beat, Buckles looks right at him and says, "Caldwell, you're already in space." And then he just walks out of the room. So here I am with a guy I've never met, and then Buckles, who says that's, first couple of words I've heard out of his mouth. And I said, "What have I got myself into?" And I was like, he was so witty, it was just almost immediate. And I was like, I think I'm gonna like this guy.
Yeah.
So
That's one word to describe it, witty.
Oh, I mean, it was, because, I mean, you knew when he liked you. Because he wouldn't even say, I mean, like one time at 5, I was out there Sunday at 5, and we were talking about cooking or something or other. And that's when you first got introduced to of his cousin, Polly. And I'm sitting there at the table eating breakfast, and he comes in, just lays a cookbook down, and then walks off. Didn't say a word, and it's her on the front cover of the cookbook, and had his aunt's recipe book. And of course I'm thumbing through it, and he's just standing over you. He would stand over you with a cup of coffee in front of his face, with his cap down like this, sipping on coffee. And it's like, I think the closer he got it, like his eyes would just have like a small, he'd just look over the cup at you, and he wouldn't say anything. But then you knew when he liked you, because I mean, if you listened to all the stuff that he said, it was just noise. It was just noise, because it's legendary. Because I mean, it was so much fun to poke fun at Wayne, but he loved it. He loved being picked on. He loved it. I mean, it's like everyone else would go to work out. They've got shorts on and stuff, and then Wayne would come out with those 2 socks. He would have 2. He would be all to be perfect. Everything would be pressed. He'd be standing here like this right here wanting to go work out. And I mean, it'd be like this much flesh showing, because like his shorts come to here, and it's like those old school, 70s, 2 socks.
You'd be on the opposite end of that spectrum, though. And like you said, you become friends with Wayne, and you become family with Wayne. And that's where I think all 3 of us were most definitely, is we're family. And when I say family, you'd get invited to the world famous cookouts in Stony Creek and things like that.
Barbecue.
And I'll tell that story to go into another story, but he invited me and my wife up there. We went up there, and I never met Wayne's friends outside of work friends. And we got there, and of course I was sitting there and I'm looking around, not really knowing anybody quite yet. And this guy comes up and goes, "Girl, you're prettier than a new set of snow tires." And I kind of looked at my wife, and she looked back at me, and I was like, "Oh, he's talking to you." She goes, "Thanks." And he walked away, and Wayne goes, "So you met Kenny?" I said, "Yeah, I know Kenny now." And then you get to meeting all his friends, and then you get to playing golf because Wayne loved golf.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne loved golf,
Oh, gosh.
and
You couldn't beat him.
you couldn't beat him. He was good. He was a good golfer, but he would dress to the nines
Oh, yeah.
and everything. So he'd come out here looking silly working out, but you see him on a golf course, and he looked pristine. He looked crisp and ready to go. We always joked with him because I said, "Wayne, I can't wear pants on a golf course." He said, "Why is that?" I said, "Because only good golfers wear pants." He goes, "Well, why do you think I got them on?" And I said, "Well, I know. That's why I don't have them on."
You know, or he would show up at these tournaments that we would go to, and he had this one particular outfit that the checkered
Neyland
Stadium end zone checkered pants, and I remember the first time he ever came out, he just burst out of there and says, "How do you like my outfit?"
Why do you think I'm new out there?
And the place just erupted, and you know, he was serious. He was, well, what do you mean? We were just dying laughing.
Well, you know, one of the last times I worked for him, I always get these text messages. He'd have to have something to do, and I had to get a text message, and it'd always be, "Sam, can you work for me, Red?" And it's like, and I told him, I said, "Man, anytime you need me, I'll be there." So the last time I worked for him, he had a golf tournament, and he come every time he come in all black.
Yeah.
And he come walking in the door, and I'm like going, "I am so disappointed in you, Wayne." He goes, What's wrong?" I said, "Black, all black." I said, "You got orange?" He goes, "Orange is for Sunday." Or
Orange is for Sunday.
Sunday, that's when he's the winner. That's the day he's going to win it.
That's
you know?
my winning day.
But I mean, it's just hard to explain because if you didn't wade through the noise of him, you know, sometimes acting like he's pissed off and mad at everybody, you know, you really get a better appreciation for what he was as a person. I mean, it was crazy. I get these texts. "Have you seen my yoga mat?" Remember the yoga mat controversy? Well, he had a big blue yoga mat with his name written on it, and it was missing. And he goes, "Sammy, I know you've not had it, but somebody's got it." I said, I don't know."
I'm going to get to the bottom of
I
this.
said, "I'll look for it." So he looked at that whole day, and he's texting me. I said, "I hadn't seen it." I come in the next day, and I'm over there walking around, and they put it behind those drums. Well, Wayne wasn't tall enough to see it over those drums. So he come here slurping his coffee. They got my map. I'm mad. They have my map. I said, "Okay." I go up there. I said, "Wayne, come here a minute." He goes, "What's that?" I said, "Look over there." And he goes, "Well, I'm just not tall enough to see that." And that was all you got out of him. You know, it was all you got out of him. Or how about the yogurt? You know, when he had the yogurt in the refrigerator, we can't actually say what he had written on the jar of yogurt, but I'm going to say this is B shifts. Leave it alone. I think that's a pretty safe
That's a
thing.
good thing.
Which Hartsook, I think, was here then during
Oh,
that,
yeah.
which made Hartsook want to eat it even more. You know, because that's the crazy
But
thing.
that's Firehouse Banner.
Yeah, that was it. That was one. Because, I mean, if he put B shift on it, it was like, I don't really like trail mix, but now that it's Wayne's,
Automatically, I'm
now
going
that
to
it's Wayne's, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. But, I mean, it was, I mean, because I bring back all those things. It's like, I was out here, we were swapping out with these guys one morning, and I hear this eruption come out of the office, and I thought, what is going on there? He goes, "Sammy, get in here, you want to see this." Well, it was that waste management hole-in-one. And he just looped it over and over and showed to everyone over and over again. And I'm like, "What is it?" And I said, "Okay, I'll go watch it." I go, "Really, that's all it is? Just get out of here. Just get out of here. You don't think that's cool? Just get out of here." And I'm like, "Hey, it's a hole-in-one. I mean, it's not like it's..."
Oh, he
won the World Series.
He was very serious about that.
He had some hole
You know,
Wayne had
yeah.
some hole-in-ones.
I remember the time that we were at Station 2 together, and we were on opposite shifts, and we had the golf channel.
Locked him in.
Oh, yeah.
We locked him out of the golf channel. Just change the code or whatever it was. And he came in the next day. He was mad. He was mad. And all right, pulling over on Red. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Make fun of old Red. Pulling over on old Red.
You knew you had him when he's talked about himself in the third person. When they go, "Old Red," they're going to try to get Old Red.
Get Old Red.
Ain't
Try to
gonna
get Old
happen.
Red.
Ain't going to happen, Sammy.
See, my first time around the
You know,
block.
but I guess that's, and one thing I guess if we talk about golf is Polly his cousin. And most people don't know Polly his cousin is on that.
Cousin Polly.
Polly Perret, cousin Polly. We used to know her
Cousin
cousin
Polly.
Polly. Well, she's on that show. What was it? NCIS or whatever it is. Well, he'd go to a golf tournament out there every year. Now this is how much he loved that thing. He delayed getting hip replacement surgery because of that golf tournament.
That's a fact.
Because he loved that golf, and he'd start playing it like, when was it, like in
Oh yeah.
November,
Oh, yeah.
December, when was it? I don't remember what time of the year it
He
was.
played it.
He played it
Probably-
each,
It was before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Every year.
he would start like,
Tennessee Florida game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, so he would start like, the week, 2 weeks after planning for the next year. Well, COVID hit. And I got to see about a 20-minute lecture out here about rental car prices. He goes, Sam, you're gonna try to get over it, but I'm not missing Polly's golf tournament. I'm not missing, I wouldn't miss it for the world. But they're not gonna get over it, and they're gonna charge me $300 to rent a car. And it was so crazy. But I mean, that's the one thing I guess that I would say is I don't know if Polly ever knew that. Maybe she'll see this video. Is man, he loved that. He loved her. I mean, it was unbelievable.
He loved entertaining out there. He loved cooking
Oh.
for him out there. He loved he loved taking them things out there and
Oh, whenever he got back.
and bootlegging and
Whenever he got back, it was a never-ending slideshow on his phone. That's what me and Polly did.
Yeah.
he loved his West Coast friends. That's for sure.
Well, he got a hug from Betty White that one time. He was bragging about getting a hug from Betty White. Come back, but and I'm like,
Well, he never let it down that he went to the Tonight Show
Yeah.
Betty
and
White.
Jay Leno and
yeah.
talked to Polly had talked about her cousin Wayne in the back.
Cousin Wayne.
He rewound it. You hear that? That's all red.
He was
Yeah.
an extra. He was an extra on the show. Never spent the paycheck.
Well, that was because we accused him. We were aggravating him about that. Somebody, one of the new guys, had asked him about that, about the show. So I don't believe you're on there, Wayne. We subscribed to a free trial to Paramount to pull that video up, and all you see is the back of it. It's on that, what is it, witching hour or something? And then in the very last scene, they take these kids around trick-or-treating. Well, they go to the first cubicle. Well, it's Wayne in like a blue suit or something with a top hat on. And all you see is his back, and I'm like, Wayne, that can't be you. You'd be more flamboyant. You at least have some orange on.
A feather in your
Sammy, I don't want to hear it. Don't hear it. And he just walked off.
You're just jealous.
You're just
So
jealous.
You
Yeah.
weren't there.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
get you to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, he'd come in the morning to get all his work done, and he'd zone out and go sit in that front recliner with a pillow, with a laptop and headphones on, watching one of the channels while another channel's on. And if you change the channel, oh, he's like, "What are you doing?" Well, you're I'm
I got 17 hours of golf I got to watch.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, but man, it was just it was a hard lick, It's a hard lick, and that next day, it was just, it was funny when they got us, we were riding around, running calls that day, and we were laughing about it. We were asking about what to go eat lunch or go eat somewhere or something other. And it was funny because we're driving, and I go, "Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Sanders, where do you want to go eat?" "I don't care. So what about Ridgewood Barbecue?" He goes, "Well, okay." And he comes to the back, "You're trying to get me fired." I said, "You just..."
Freshly, Lieutenant.
Yeah, freshly.
These guys are silly gooses, and I'm over here.
Yeah, I'm on.
I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get fired. I said, "You just let the adults
Let
do
the adults talk about
Let the
it."
adults talk about this. This won't be no problem." I told that to Bill the other day, but I wouldn't have said a word. I said, "No, you wouldn't have said a
What do
word."
you
I said, "Because it's funny because that was a horrible day. I mean, that was a horrible day. I mean, it was a horrible day of thinking, all that stuff. And I mean, since then it's all I'm really appreciative. I got to know him. I mean, it was just wow. It's funny.
It
But,
is. We talk, you hear in the fire service the word brotherhood a lot, and you hear the word family, but the best way to describe this job is if you could just bottle that up and sell that to a new recruit and say, "This is what you're going to get in 10 years. This is like these guys right here grew up knowing my daughter. Like, some of these folks was there when she was born, and Wayne was one of those guys. Like he knew my daughter from when she was real little, and still gave her a hard time. Now when she's 10 years old, and he'd been there through all of it. Never missed a birthday. Called and sang happy birthday to her every year.
Yeah, we got to call him singing Wayne happy birthday. I mean, hard to sing to him. And he's like, what is it? And we start to say, he's like, y'all shut up.
That's just a number. That's just a number.
Just
But
a
he
number.
made it grand for everybody else.
That was the thing about him. He was brash.
Oh, yeah.
He was brazen. He didn't care to tell you what he thought. But man, he had a huge heart.
Yeah.
He did. And a lot of people didn't see that. And
They
they
didn't
didn't
take
see
the
that.
time.
They didn't see that side of Wayne. And it's a shame It really is a shame.
Well, I feel sorry for them because they didn't get to see that side of
They
it.
didn't see the full.
They didn't see the blessing that it was to have him here and to work with him. I mean, probably, I mean, this is crazy.
He had a huge heart, and it was a pleasure. It really was. It was a privilege and a pleasure to have known him and to get to know him, and just to be around him and to be called his friend. Because if you were his friend, you were his friend for life. And if there was one thing he was loyal. He was very loyal, and that's something that you don't get. You don't get a whole lot of, especially in this day and age. It's so wishy-washy and fair weather friends, and that was not him. That was not him at all. And you can say what you want to, and oh gosh, did we say what we wanted to him, and he'd say it right back.
Oh yeah.
And that's what made Wayne Wayne. And I'm gonna miss that guy.
Oh, it's like
I'm gonna miss that guy, and I've missed him since he departed. And I'll always have memories that I will never get out of my head. He was from the U. Everybody knows what the U is.
He's the voice of the U.
The voice of the U.
His daddy was voice of the U.
And Unaka High School. And he would let you know that real quick. We would go play softball tournaments together. And he let everybody know that he was from the U. And if you're from the U, you're a shortstop. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And he would always say, do you know who I am? Do you know
I've got a good
Do you know where I'm from?
Oh, I've got a good one on that. Oh,
And
yeah.
he'd say, you don't know nothing about that, son. You
Yeah.
can't play
Yeah,
shortstop.
let me tell you.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it was, and he was a heckler.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
He let you know where you stood on stuff. It was
my God.
funny.
I remember the time we went down to, we played a charity game in Jonesboro.
Careful with these stories.
Yeah. But we were playing, and we were waiting for the next game, and he was heckling. Well, we were. Yeah, we were heckling, me and I together. We were heckling the police department so bad they were wanting to fight us.
It was one liner after one liner after one liner, and both of us just kept coming out with them and coming out. I was like, where are you getting all these?
I got a million of them, son. You
Because
just
let me
sit
tell
back.
you, Carrie, you just sit back and watch.
Just sit back and watch.
Oh, yeah. Golly. Yeah, he was great. I mean, probably the last big one I know on Wayne. He had that little white Honda car he used to park out in his parking space. Well, I come in the morning, the hood was up on him. And I thought, Wayne, what are you doing? They got a fuel leak. I said, I didn't even, boys, they got a fuel leak. He started that, and I mean, fuel line was broke right at where it goes in the motor. There's spraying fuel everywhere. And I said, well, man, what are you gonna do? I'll fix it. I said, I don't think you're gonna fix that. I said, that's high pressure fuel there. It's not like a carburetor, whatever. He goes, you don't worry about it, Sammy. I said, well, you need my keys to go to the auto parts store? He goes, yeah, I'll be back. I said, okay, well, I figured you'd come back with a fuel line, We're gonna get it all fixed and whatever. He come back, had a little bag. And I said, what's that? He goes, JB Welding Flex Seal. And I said, JB Welding Flex Seal, what are you talking about? And he goes, you know where I'm from? I said, yeah. You know who my daddy was? And you know where I'm from, Stone Creek? It's called Shade Tree. He said, in 15 minutes, Sammy, he said, I'll be driving up the creek. And I said, okay. And of course, Hartsick's watching all this and just going, oh my God, what's he doing? He's going, you just didn't prep it like I do. He's mixing that clear JB Weld up, and he's mixing it up, and he's dabbing it on that line and putting Flex Seal around it. And I'm like, okay, let's get it. So he says, in about 15 minutes, I'll be in the creek in 10. I said, go ahead, fire it up. I get up there and fire it up, and I'm in gas. Just blow there. I said, cut it off. He goes, well, I guess they got old Red. He goes, it's a good thing Red's got the roadside assistance supervisor. So they roll back into town. Of course, we were riding him all about. I mean, I didn't have to say, I just smiled at him. He said, shut up.
Don't you say a word.
Shut up. Next thing, just shut up.
He set himself up though, because you got, like Sanders said, once you got to know that side of Wayne, you got to see both sides of it. So you could rib Wayne, And then you got to see the charity side of Wayne. I'll tell a story in a second. Had a call one night. It was at the time Lieutenant Powell, Jason Powell was on it. They had a car, and they had to see there was a child in the back. They were there for over an hour. I don't know, I can't remember the medical issue or whatever. Well, Jason was back there consoling the child and talking to the child. Wayne opens the door and says, "Get out." Kind of looks at him because he's told his lieutenant at the time, "Get out." He goes, "Get out." He goes, "Wow, Wayne." He goes, "Just get out. I'm gonna talk to this kid." He goes, "You don't know anything about it." Wayne gets in there and talks to this kid, calms the kid down 30 minutes. Then he just gets out and walks off, walks across the street. He goes, "I'll be back." Lieutenant Powell didn't say a word. Wayne comes back in 20 minutes, has 2 bags full of McDonald's food. Brought back, he goes, "Wayne, what are you doing?" He said, "Oh, kids like chicken nuggets. We can get this kid some chicken nuggets." Gave him all that food, just the kindness of his, like, after you got to talking to him. Like, that's, you get to see both sides of Wayne once you got to know him, and I think that's what I'm going to miss the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, for probably 2 months after this happened, I would come in the mornings when B shift was working, and I'd look to see him in there, because he'd pace the floor back here between those garage doors, sipping, drinking coffee, waiting for us to get here. You'd see him every morning, and I mean, it was, to not see that car, to not see him, I mean, it's a hole. I mean, it's a hole. I mean, we lost, but it was, it's tough.
Well, and I'll say, Leanne and his family, his brother, all his nieces and nephews. He loved you all dearly. He talked about you all the time.
Oh yeah, that whole family. I mean, it was.
And it was hard. It was hard to do his funeral. It was hard to stand up there and talk about him as not being there.
Well,
and it was very hard the next day to, to lay him to rest. And it's just hard. And I'll never forget it.
Well, that weather was miserable.
Well,
I mean, it was miserable. I'm like, he's going, "Yeah, old red strikes again." I mean, it was, the wind was blowing and raining, and it was miserable.
I remember looking up just before we took his casket off, and the wind was just, it was blowing hats off. And
Yeah.
I said, old red. Mm-hmm.
Old red, watch this.
Yeah, watch this.
Watch this.
You don't know nothing about this, son.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just couldn't help but laugh. But.
I mean, there's just stories of stories of stories. I mean, you talk about his fitness. He had that ab lounger over at 2 when you're over there. And he bought this ab lounger. He'd been using it, been working on his physique, and stuff. Well, then one of the other guys that's now retired was using it to watch TV. And it was causing a sag in the fabric. He's about as big as I am. And he put a weight limit sign on it. Because weight limit is 250 pounds. He was but it was so great, man. What was about the leather armbands when he'd go out to the Applebee's or with them big leather armbands?
Oh, he'd have his flare.
Yeah.
He goes, "That's how you get the women carrier." I said, what are you talking about? He's got something to talk about. I said, "You've got a lot to talk about." And he goes, "Nope." He goes, "Watch this." And he says, "They all talk about him." And he held up his wrist, he did that little jingle. I said, "You can't jingle leather, Wayne." He goes, "I'm just showing you what they are." And I said, "I know." We sit there and we have a few drinks, and next thing you know, I'm like, well, he was right. They're talking about leather bracelets.
It's working. It was this thing, man. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was just that. I mean, like I said, it was a great time. I mean, it was a.
But I mean, even his friends outside of here, like his outside friends away from work, like they all will say the same exact thing about Wayne Buckles as we do. Like he would drop a hat and help you do anything.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of guy he was. And hearing them tell the stories on their side of the fence is good. It makes me feel good.
That reaffirmed everything that we knew about him. He was genuine.
His dad had all those classic GTOs. Well, Wayne inherited one of them when his dad passed. When he set it on fire, they had a fire on it and it scorched the hood and all that other stuff. It was funny. He'd sit there and he'd walk right through here and vent. Yeah, backfired on me. Back from setting it on fire, had to get the hood repainted, and he got a wiring harness. I don't know if he ever got it put on.
No.
He was working on getting it put on, you know, but he would just go into and you just sit and you were in awe that someone would dump that much anger, I guess, or emotion or whatever. But he'd get up and you just sit there and you just listen to him, and he just.
We call that
Yeah.
We call that the golden hour in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I'd wake up early and he'd already be up 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. We used to work out at Station 4 together to the what is it, the 30-minute power hour or whatever.
Yeah.
We did that, but then we got older and coffee became more delicious.
Yeah.
And he'd come out here and I call it the power hour, the golden hour, where Wayne would just fuss. And I wouldn't say a word, I would just listen. But let me tell you, boys, something. I learned more in that 30 minutes every morning just listening to him talk and fuss. Because those are life lessons. And I mean, some of the stories that he would tell that I'm not going to repeat ever are life lessons that I've learned to make myself grow as a better man. And that's what I'm going to miss.
Yeah, some of them were what not to do. You know what I mean?
A lot of those were
You would go like, well, I need to make a mental note of that. I'm not going to do that, you know,
You
because.
learn just as much from what, a bad decision as you could have good decision.
But that was,
Oh,
and you boys have been there. That was just me and him in the morning. It was quiet. Sun was coming up. Those are the mornings I'm going to miss.
Yeah, then me and Brandon would come in, and it would just be like
We
turning
just
on.
stir this
Yeah,
pot.
we're aggravating Wayne because it was funny, you know. But he would light up in the mornings. He would be just all. He'd start, and you were like going, okay, here we go. And of course he's going, that's all y'all are doing is harassing him.
I got 24 hours with this man.
Yeah.
He had that switch.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I told you that at his funeral. He could flip. It was just like a light switch. He could flip it on and off. And I'll never forget one of the last, probably the last shift that I worked with him when working for you. We went somewhere and it was a lift assist. You know how he hated those lift
All the way to the call.
and it was,
Yeah.
we're doing this, and then we get to the front door and he rings the doorbell and he flipped that switch and it was, oh honey, what do you need?
What can I help you with?
What can I help you with? You need me to do anything else? The minute we hit the door, and it was just, he could flip the switch and, it was.
Oh, he took pride in that. I mean, like
He did.
teaching CPR and stuff. He really come back and
He was a
he'd
good
brag about
fireman.
that. He'd talk about that
He was
stuff.
a good fireman. He was a fireman's fireman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He knew what he was doing, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
there'll never ever be another one like him. Never.
Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness there's only one of those.
There will never be.
Could you
another
imagine
one.
cloning that? What you have?
Well,
You'd have good golf. Golfing scores would greatly reduce.
well,
Yeah, they'd be in trouble.
Right.
It's a simple game. I don't know how you boys can't do it.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he and I used to have that argument on it. Golf's easy when it don't matter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, hopefully we've helped, with giving some insight in that. And like I said, for the whole Buckles family, we're really sorry that everything happened the way it did. But you still got family here. It's just, man, we miss him.
I miss
We
him.
miss him.
I think about him every day.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Every day. There's something that reminds me of him every day.
Every time I see a white CRV, I think of Buckles and chuckle.
Or the old Z car. Remember the old Z car?
Well, he had that little red truck that had Red Drive on the front.
Red
Drive.
That little tag, Red Drive. So he embraced that. But the ironic thing was to me is that the one year that UT has a good football team. The one year. I mean, you can imagine how unbearable it would have been here if he.
Oh, well, I know.
Because he would have been.
I can feel it, because I'm a huge Alabama fan. And, he was, he cussed me for 20 years.
Yeah.
Every third Saturday in October.
Yeah.
I just couldn't help but chuckle this year and think, boy, what would he have to say to me this year?
Well, like the Super Bowl this year, this past in 2022, he'd have all these big cookouts and stuff like that. He brought in those dang weenies and a jar of grape jelly. And I said, Wayne, you have an image to uphold here, and that's all you're going to do? That's all you're going to bring to the table is weenies and grape jelly? You don't need to worry about it, Sammy. You're not invited anyway. I said, well, I'm not coming if you're going to have crap like that. You can't at least have a decent Super Bowl party with decent food, then I don't want to be there. Just get out of here. Just get out of here.
You don't know nothing about that, son.
Yeah.
That was his,
Oh, yeah.
That was his go-to.
Well,
You don't know nothing
because he wanted to open up a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And he could have. He very well could
Oh,
have.
yeah, it was great.
He
But,
had
I
the
mean,
knowledge.
He did not want you anywhere in the kitchen when he was doing anything. You're gonna mess up my creation. You just back out of here. I don't want you. Get out.
Get out.
Leave me alone.
Go on.
You just enjoy the fruits of my labor. That's what he said.
Yeah. We used to play rook all the time over 5. That's been around 02, 03 or whatever. And it's me and him and Oliver and Mark Hensley. And man, you talk about rook tournament, he'd get so aggravated and mad. 'Cause it's usually me and him against the rest of them. And it's like,
Why would you lead with a 2?
yeah. Sammy, did you not know that one that the 2 was still out there?
You're not a very good
Well,
teammate.
obviously I didn't, or I wouldn't play. So, yeah. But I mean, it was so, because I mean, and that's the things you miss. That's the things you miss is the insight and whatever. But I mean, he could look at you with such disgust. Like you were such a worthless piece of crap. You know, he'd just be like,
human.
he'd just be like, why are you bothering me with your nonsense? But then that switch would flip, and then he would be like, but I mean, he had this stare that was
Then he'll
epic.
throw it out. Then he'd go, Carrier, let me tell you something.
You know, there was some,
Lay it on me.
Yeah.
some sort of proverbial knowledge that was coming after
Yeah.
that.
But even he just look at you like, why are you bothering me with such silly things? You know, and it's like, well, okay. You know, but golly, man, we had a ball. We had a ball.
I'm gonna miss him.
Oh, yeah.